Hello and welcome to the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast. It is Friday, June 3rd. We've been gone for a minute. The season is really over this time. Liverpool, the greatest team of all time, lose in the Champions League in meh fashion. But first, Mike, what do you want to talk about? This is the last episode of the season. We're going to take a break. I noticed that Tifo actually did this. They made a video of a channel I follow, and they were like, we're going on break, and we're not coming back until August 3rd. So I think we're not going to come back until August 3rd.
We're going to come back just around then. We will be in the same place. We're going to do a season 3 extravaganza special because I'll be in San Diego. So we'll both be
That'll be good. That'll be good.
I'll be bringing this microphone, and we'll see about that.
The season is over. Real Madrid literally.
Before we go into the actual show, let's talk about this for a second. This is episode 172 of the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast. It has been so much fun being alongside with you, but also some thank yous are in order. First and foremost, everybody here who is still with us, who has newly come along, we see you. We are so grateful that you spend even a minute of your time with us. It's so much fun to have you guys along the way. Big shout outs to our guys at FanHub. Russ, we love you. Thank you for all what you've done for us in the show. And we would be remiss if not serious mention of Chris and Dave from the Chop Sports Network. Those guys are absolute fucking workaholics. They're awesome. They're building something pretty cool. And so we're really proud to be a part of it. We're happy to be the soccer wing, as we say, of the Chop Sports Network. So
we are the soccer wing of the Chop.
Yeah, it's a big summer for them. It's going to be a quiet summer for us, but we're really proud to be a part of both of those organizations and onward and upward on to the show. So what did you want to talk about?
Every single person who's listened to any minute of this episode of this show is an absolute fucking hero, and I hope that you storm the pitch because we're gonna win. But do not do it like they did to Saint Etienne, where the fans threw flares at their own team's tunnel when they went down, which was great. I was
gonna say I'm in favor of that. There's been a lot of fan misbehavior, right?
You know what? I'm in for all fan misbehavior.
I think you've come to the right place for fan misbehavior. We're gonna talk a lot about it this episode. So you've got the Saint Etienne fans pillowing their own fans with flares. Their own players with flares.
This was a playoff game against the second division team at home to stay in the league, and they lost on penalties.
So in France, then they
do the playoff.
The team
that's in the league has the chance to stay. Yes.
Oh, I like that so much.
The Germans
more.
do that too. Yeah.
I like that a lot more.
Yeah,
but
so
we don't get.
Is not an automatic disappearing act.
I see. Okay. So, that makes sense. Okay.
So if they did that in England, what would happen would be Forest, or maybe Forest would just be the third team automatically. I don't think they do playoff. And then if they did it that way, it would have been Forest versus Burnley.
Right.
At Burnley.
Oh, wow. You know what? Hit him with the flares, guys. You gotta, if you're gonna lose that.
Yeah, but France will go to it when we do the Champions League because poor small Liverpool, a team and a club that has been just really treated badly throughout history, from Heysel in '85 to Hillsborough in '89, and now to have that tough break where they didn't win the Premier League for 30 years. And to have Gerrard fall because the pitch, it was a bad pitch, and Mourinho pushed him using his magic force field so that they lost the league. And the fact that they've gotten over 95 points 3 times and still haven't won the league. Poor Liverpool. Their fans, again, I don't know why this happens. Whenever they go to Europe, something happens to them. And this time it was France. Again, they've now had trouble in Belgium, then in England, and now France. And they just couldn't get into the stadium. And it was bad, and I'm sure there were lots of problems. But I can't help but think just all the bad luck that the poor Liverpool supporters have. I mean, it's just bizarre. I don't know how it happens. And then to have the game go the way it went, where Thibaut Courtois fucking stood on his head. But did he really? He did have 9 saves, but only maybe 2 of them were like world class. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, but I mean, that's 2 goals, right? Like,
no, I understand.
Yeah, and we've said this all season long. They walked right through you at the death. They did things. We kept saying, of course, this will be the time that someone takes out Real Madrid, and it just wasn't true once.
Dude, they went
the whole tournament.
You want to talk about a tough road? They went through the toughest. Like they are the European champions. Like
100%.
For real.
Like, yeah. Conversely, look at Liverpool's road.
I mean, Liverpool's is just like
it's a Europa League.
You were never the best. It was a Europa League draw.
Yeah, it's silly.
So listen, I don't want to be a sore loser.
No, you're a winner. Be a sore winner.
And no. I don't begrudge. So I watched the Champions League final with Liverpool fans in the local bar. So they were a real Scouser was there, and I didn't realize it. I was like, "Fucking Scousers!" And he turns around and goes, "Oi!" I was like, "Oh, who the fuck are you? You're from Queens." But he was magnanimous, and that was cool. But it was not a good game to watch.
No. I mean, look, the final very rarely is, right? Because it really is the 15 minutes of sort of like the first round of a boxing match, feeling each other out, and then you likely have a couple of moments of greatness, but it's usually a mistake that's made that's the difference in the game. Last year, the Fernandinho, frankly, just missing that assignment.
Well, first of all, the team selection was
no. I know. Pep was the mistake, but Fernandinho not being in the role where Mason Mount just passed right through, right? Mm-hmm. There's that. I think about the Tottenham Liverpool match where the
call in the first 5 minutes,
30 seconds, right? Even going back to the Real Juventus game, which was sort of back and forth. This is 4 years ago now, I think.
Who knows?
Doesn't matter, but that was back.
They're never very good. There aren't many classics. There are moments.
Right. Yeah, there's brief moments. But yeah, I mean, this is the way these things go, and Real got their goal, and then they just
Oh, I wonder whose side that was on. Was that Trent Alexander-Arnold's side?
Oh, I believe it was. Yes.
Yeah. Now, I don't think he was at fault. The cross from Valverde was fucking killer. I mean, you can't defend that unless you want Alexander-Arnold to be out of position and sort of instinctually go, I should not be in line with my defense and I should be 3 steps behind. Now, it's fine. He did not look over his shoulder. That's all. That's my only thing. Like, it's fine to give up the goal and be like, you know what, I'm where I'm supposed to be. But just give a shoulder check, my guy. Mm-hmm. I mean, it reminded me of Cancelo in the Matty Target goal, where Cancelo didn't look. He was just like, I'm in the right spot, but then just gets got. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but Liverpool get through, and I think, unfortunately, the narrative of this game is the poor French policing. They have been, to all the kidding aside, they have been terrible all season. They had trouble at Marseille. They banned Lyon from the road games. They historically just are shit police and just go to violence immediately. The anecdote I have is, if you go on a Paris subway with a camera and a policeman comes on and says, put that away, and you hesitate for a second, he hits it with a club. So they're not really, it's not like the US where it's just like, oh, no, the police just crack people. And they did that to Liverpool fans to be fair, we have to remember, this Champions League was initially to be in St. Petersburg, the Soviet Union of Putin, that they moved, and they only had 3 months notice. Now, does that excuse them? I don't know. The Stade de France is in basically the Baltimore of France in Saint-Denis. So there were literally roving gangs of teenagers robbing Scousers. Little did they know Scousers have no money. So that was a mistake. But it just, everything that could go wrong went wrong, and people were standing outside, and it got scary for a second, and, people got pepper sprayed, and that sucks, because it's like, this is one of those things where we talked about it during the season. It's just like, why does the Super Bowl do it so well and Europe just not seem to understand that this is a big deal? It's funny. Is it the money? Is it the not understanding? Like, literally, call the NFL and be like, we're going to have the Champions League this year. We know where it's going to be. Yeah. Can you guys help us?
And here's the thing. Listen to 15% of what they say, because I think we can all agree that the Super Bowl goes pretty far beyond the pale, right? And so you don't have to do what they do. But it is a spectacle.
It's the biggest thing in the world.
I understand. I'm not saying don't do what they do. I'm saying do a little less, right? Like do a lot less, but do holy shit. The absolute ocean between where UEFA is and where the NFL is staggering. So if you wanted to set sail a little bit, right, and go, like I said, 15, 20% of what the NFL does, which, by the way, for our European friends and listeners, 2 weeks of buildup, nonstop coverage every single day, human interest stories about the coaches
people's
that
moms,
you wouldn't
a
even
guy with
have.
One arm, a cousin,
right? Going back to
teacher.
one of our storylines earlier in the season, the fact that half of your teams don't even have set piece coaches. Like there's an expose on the set piece coach's uncle. Okay, this is what we're talking about here. 7 hours of pregame the day of. There's an event with just puppies about it. Okay.
The halftime show is twice as long, 3 times
as long. The halftime show is like 30 minutes and costs more to produce than the actual fucking game. Where else do I? Oh, I don't know. Even people who don't give a motherfuck about the NFL watch the Super Bowl because they enjoy the commercials. I'm going to repeat that. There are people, and you can mock, silly Americans, whatever, who in the tens of millions who don't care about football.
This is the only game they watch a year.
Watch the Super Bowl for 2 reasons: the commercials and the halftime show. They line up in droves to watch advertisements. Do you have any idea? And now, granted, that is straight away not a non-starter for the Champions League final, right? Because it's only halftime would be the only commercials. I get it. But still, like, you would have first of all, that spectacle.
Who was that woman who opened the act? I've never heard of her. I didn't hear any bio on her. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know anything about her. Like, you got to build that person. You've got to make it a thing. Anyway, so anyway, we're all football, but Europeans, you guys have no idea how big our stuff is. We do it here better than you do because we do it for the money.
You're giving France too much credit. Full of shit. 3 months? Listen, if something were to happen in November, okay, and in Qatar, if let's say Qatar, invades Ukraine. Let's say Qatar invades Ukraine for argument's sake, right? And they go, gosh, we kind of did rig the voting anyway.
It was Yemen today.
It was going to be in the United States. Hey, United States. Do you guys think you could host the World Cup? It starts in 90 minutes. I'd be like, yeah, no fucking problem. We've got 17 stadiums. What do you want? Yeah, what do you need?
Yeah, what city? What city do you want to do it in?
Yeah,
LA? No problem.
So I don't want to hear about how Paris had a hard time preparing for one game over 3 months. Bullshit. It just goes back to logistics and preparation and just what are you doing here, folks?
Well, this is the same group that got overrun at the Maginot Line and at Verdun. They're not good with logistics.
That's a good point. That's a pretty
they can't handle this stuff. But anyway, the game was bad. Liverpool, the greatest team of all time, now carry at least one tin pot trophy and another one that people always say they don't care about.
And they had to win both in penalties.
Another point of contention for the greatest team of all time not to score a goal in 3 finals. Is a little tough for me.
Yep.
And the first one, the League Cup, they were blown away by Chelsea. I don't know how the fuck they lost that game. Anyway, so Liverpool goes away. They had the easy draw. I hate them. They can fuck off. They're not the greatest team of all time. And blah, blah, fucking blah. My team just signed Holland, who scored amazing goals in this friendly today. That I'm just like, holy shit, he's really fast.
Let's stick with a team you hate. Let's go from one team you hate to another team you hate. News out of the red side of Manchester this week. Harry Maguire has taken a lot of abuse this season, right? From the
deservedly so, because he turns like an 1830s battleship.
Right, like an aircraft carrier. Right. So like putting the mast up, right?
I know.
So he's been having a real tough time ever since, ironically, playing a pretty pivotal role in England's run to the 2022, whatever the fuck Euro it was.
2020 final in 2021.
Correct. The Euro final, right? So he seems to think that one fan has crossed the line.
Oh.
He had an email addressed to him that said, "Hey, Harry Maguire, I'm going to bomb your house and kill your family," which I think we can all agree is a little over the line. Okay.
Well, we have students in this country that say they're going to shoot schools and then do it, and nobody notices.
Well, there's that. But I thought I was going to have. I thought I was going to have the hot take on this one, and I was wrong. And that's what I get for having a show with Laurent.
We're not laughing at the action. We have to laugh at the pain of all the crazy things that happen in the U.S.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
But to juxtapose the email that gets sent, and that's a big deal when we're just like, the country's laden with people saying, I'm going to blow something up, and then they do it.
So wait. Now I have so many more questions, though. Okay. By the way, and it is wrong. I'm going to look right into the camera. It is wrong. You should not tell anyone, much less a professional football player, that you're going to blow up their house based on anything, right?
Yes,
that is inherently terrible.
Yes. We both agree.
Now that I've said the required thing I have to say, I have some questions.
Yes.
One, how did he get Harry Maguire's personal email? And I'd love to know what the tone of was it like "Greetings, Harry," or like
it's definitely slabhead@gmail.com.
Right. I was gonna say, like, there's there's so much material.
Slabhead.com.
There's so much material there, and the guy I know who wrote this email, the guy had to have used all of it so much that he's like, there's nothing left for me to say to this guy other than I'm gonna blow up your fucking house and kill your family. So now I'm wondering, maybe he didn't get it directly to his email. Like maybe it was like harry.m at manunited.com. So maybe there's that. Or I thought of this. Maybe this guy went to like the contact us page on Manchester United's website and was like, "Oh, are you having season ticket problems?" He's like,
or it's a slide into DMs. It was just a pair of boobs.
It could have been DMs,
and then it just converted to like, I'm going to blow up your house with my fake tits.
I read it specifically, right, as an email. So I'm thinking like, "Dear Manchester United customer support, please tell Harry Maguire I'm going to bomb his house and slaughter his family." Signed, Liam. Like that's. It
would be Liam Gallagher. Liam Gallagher would actually blow up Harry Maguire's house.
Right.
So but he would be kidding, and he would get away with it.
I feel for Harry Maguire. He's had a tough year, but also I don't. He's a very well paid professional footballer, and these are the things you have to deal with. Not that you should have to deal with them.
I think
not that you should ever have to deal with somebody bombing or saying you're going to bomb your house, but. Buck up, buddy. He went public with this one, right? He was like, "This one crossed the line. I usually don't give a shit if it's about me or my play or whatever. But when you bring my family and my life, my personal life into it, which I totally understand. It's funny to me that they hate him so much, and I wonder if like at Leicester, right? Like by the way, every time they count the Harry Maguire money, they just like it's like Scrooge jumping into a pool of like gold coins, right?
But let's think about who else is leaving United. Juan Mata after 8 years.
Juan Mata,
teddy bear, goodbye. One of Moyes' mid-season signings. Okay, never really did too much. Matic, a Mourinho signing because he was a mascot and would just. He was like, I can't teach anyone to play defensive midfielder. You're playing defensive midfielder, and he just ended up staying there forever. And then the big one clearly Mourinho did not want, but he was on his watch. Pogba, the $90 million man that no one seems to figure out what position he's going to play. He was able to play every position. He had all these moments, but I think everyone figured out that all you have to do is press him, and he's awful. And he'll go back to Juventus. And basically, he's a classic player who's more famous than good, and his moments are cool. I think what he makes me feel like is, although maybe not, because my analogy is like he's like James Harden. Like he looks good.
I was going to say I'm not well versed enough in the NBA.
Well, these are basketball players that put up stats that don't win.
Yeah, I was going to go Randy Moss.
But Randy Moss was part of. Randy Moss was a winner.
He was on the time, one of the time. It's not the point, but like the point being that I saw with my own eyes Randy Moss take plays off because he just didn't care because the ball wasn't coming to him, right? And that's kind of the vibe you get from Pogba. But also think about it. He was propped up based on his 2018 World Cup performance, and to a lesser extent his Euro performance. Why? Because peak N'Golo Kante was standing next to him as his shadow.
It's a complete
freedom.
But it's a complete lack of understanding by the scouting department of Manchester United to see that France team and think that they were winning because of Pogba.
Right.
When Chelsea was like, it's that guy. You fuck off, Pogba. We'll buy him for $45 million.
No. Well, they did it with Leicester, right? Like, that guy's the reason that we're not even close to Leicester this year.
Yeah. So Pogba moves on. A failed experiment. They had him for I think 8 years. He's not young. He's nothing. He'll be there in France. I think it's more likely that he gets dropped by France than wins a trophy in a league, depending on the team. I love all the rumor mills of like, did Pep and Pogba talk? There's no way Pogba's coming to City.
No.
We only have one old midfielder at a time because we're letting Gundogan go. Thanks for scoring the 2 goals in the final.
Is he on his way out?
Oh yeah, he's gone.
Interesting.
We don't have old players. You're 31. You're 30. You got to go. So that's what I'm saying. De Bruyne is next. He'll go 2 seasons.
Right. We both support teams that very rarely buy older players. Spurs do it.
You did. You've done it.
Spurs do it as a function of like, well, we can't afford 27-year-old superstars, so let's buy 22. Would you let me just build up to it for fuck's sake? Right. So no, but they usually go with the Steven Bergwijns of the world, right? And they have one great goal or one great game against Leicester, and then it lives on in lore forever, and they fizzle out. But yeah, we struck for 33-year-old Ivan Perisic. We beat out Chelsea, and it was a free transfer. So I mean, we gave him quite a boatload, but it really, realistically, out of that 150 million, didn't cost Spurs a whole heck of a lot. And so he's going to slot in alongside Sessegnon in the left wing back position under Conte's 3-5, well, 3-4-3 if you will. And it's an interesting, exciting time, despite the fact that he's 33. You look at some of the stats with him, and he runs like he's 25.
He was on Inter, right?
Yes, he was on Inter for the last 7 years. He actually did have that cameo with Bayern on loan. He was actually in the side. I think in the side, definitely on the team in that 7-2 Bayern game at White Hart Lane a few years back in 2019. But yeah, it's certainly an exciting signing, and it is a time that not many Spurs supporters have enjoyed in the sense that there is a big transfer kitty that has been literally dispersed to the club from ownership to say, hey, let's go get this now. Let's make sure we don't lose Conte. And additionally, I was running some math, but they could run up 200 million additionally in player sales. Winks, Bergwijn, Sanchez, Lo Celso, and Ndombele, just a couple of the names.
Yeah, they could be sitting 25 on each. Yeah.
Right.
Great.
They could be sitting on, if you call the 150 that the club has given them plus another 150, that's a heck of a chunk of change. We're sitting here pretending we're Manchester City for a summer. So we'll see what happens. Paratici has been he's been given the complete green light after Bentancur and Kulusevski and Romero turned around the season. 3 of the best signings of the Premier League, I would say. And now you've got the Champions League and the stadium and everything to attract proper talent. And
it's big.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm excited.
It's huge for Spurs. So one of the things, you may not know this, but after every season, the CEO of City does a hour interview, and it goes through the whole season. It's not Sheikh Mansour. It's the other guy. Can't remember his name. Anyway, it's pretty cool. He does the whole thing. So they talked about the Haaland signing. They go through all the clubs. They go through, hey, this is where we are with Melbourne. This is where we are with the NYCFC. Both. So at one point during the last 18 months, City had 5 teams in the City Football Group that were champions, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So Melbourne, Mumbai, Troyes, and another team, and the women's team, and all these things. So
just call me a
the team's doing well. But one of the underrated signings was the Alvarez signing from Argentina. He had a 6-goal game the other day. He had a double hat trick, 3 in one half and 3 in the other. So City basically rebuilt their strike force. So now we'll probably have Haaland and Alvarez on the team, and that'll be enough. But they were talking about 2 or 3 others, so City might be in the market as well. I think we're going to see more of one of the themes that we picked on during the season is the money that the Premier League has coupled with the weakness of the other leagues. I mean, you're just seeing a level of weakness within Inter and Juve. Maybe they're doing better. Barcelona, Real Madrid. I mean, Real Madrid still needs to reload. They did not get Mbappe, which means they probably got a big wad of cash burning in their pocket. So they'll probably come after somebody. I don't know who it'll be.
I'm thinking it might be Mane or Salah.
Good names. Mane is going to go to Bayern. He's already agreed to terms.
Oh,
so
that's
right. A big one. That's a big one for Liverpool. You never know. All these things start chipping away and your team starts to decline. You never know. We don't know how much each one of those players makes a difference too.
Let's hit on that money point that you just made, because the old fucking chestnut is, City just spend to win titles and this is nonsense, whatever. Hold on a second. They're making so much money as a function of their Champions League revenues, even though they got knocked out in the semis, winning the Premier League title, right? Like, they are getting so much money. I don't have the numbers offhand, but
they're in the top of the money league.
It's cartoonish.
Yeah.
Right.
But
and so
even the arguments have been that they are getting a lot of money from internal sponsors, right? Things that the actual sheikh owns, right?
Sure.
Not all of them. I think they would be glad to replace those, because if it indeed is cooking the books, the second you can go past that number, you're just like, all right, fine. I don't want to cook the books anymore. I'd much rather have an actual sponsor. And I think that's what'll happen eventually. Listen, City can. I go through Twitter and Real winning and whatever, and I have these questions all the time. When is it okay? What is how far back is your money good? Right. Is it 1950? Anything you made before 1950 means you're allowed to win? Is it Liverpool in the 70s? Is that the cutoff when they were the richest team in the world? Or is it Man United in 1995 because they were there? Like, what is the glory line? Like, if it's 2004, am I out? Is my winning not valid? Like, who gets to decide these things?
Why is Chelsea?
Why does Chelsea get it? Yeah, like, I understand there is a money thing. I totally understand that, but I just don't like it coming from Real fans.
But it's naivety.
Literally funded the fucking team. Like, shut the fuck up.
It's just naive, right? Like, how do you think you got here, Real Madrid?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
We're playing by being clean.
Yeah, I mean, come on, right? Like, and by the way, getting back to the unrivaled strength and financial prowess of the Premier League relative to others, I just said Tottenham Hotspur, the literally most frugal team in fucking European history, setting records for not signing players.
Yeah.
Now are going to have somewhere between 150 and $300 million.
Or Villa
waiting for them.
Villa getting guys on freeze that are just like at the top of the level. I'm going to put it here first. Y'all want to look into the camera. Luis Suarez will play for Aston Villa. It's going to happen.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
He's just going to. They're all going to go. He's going to be like the off the bench guy. They'll let Ings go, and he'll just go and play with Coutinho. But that's Aston Villa. Aston Villa, yes, European champions in 1982. And I'm going to go to my other friends that are European champions that are now in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
We have our friends from the championship. Unfortunately, I did tell everyone to watch this game. It was terrible. Nottingham Forest, join us in the Premier League this year.
It's going to be so much fun next year.
It's going to be another great team. I don't think they're not good like Brentford are good. They're more of like a wow, they made it. They're not.
No, I think they'll go back down, but they're not
going to
be
fight.
Burnley.
They'll be in the fight. They're not going to be Burnley, no.
So,
but they made it up on and you want to talk about some dubious penalty calls. It was poor, and if I'm a Huddersfield fan, I'm just like, we got fucked because they wanted Forest. Yeah. They had VAR in the game and didn't use it. But the less talked about that game, the better. It was it's fantastic that they went up, but whatever. What else do we've got? So we've got Forest in the league. We've got bombing Harry Maguire's house. We've got Liverpool, the greatest team of all time, and the most hard-done fans in history have been, still will carry around their title that they have.
We've got to talk about the biggest game on the international scene, which is USA 3, Morocco 0. Just kidding. Just kidding.
That one, I didn't watch that.
Ukraine 2 and Scotland 1, which means Scotland, we love you. You're out.
Yeah, I know.
And it'll be Wales and Ukraine. There'll be Wales and Ukraine to play for a spot in the United States and England's group.
Yes.
So it's super compelling. It is not close to me. And by the way, I thought Scotland was a better team than Ukraine too.
They were bad though.
But they played poorly. I did catch a lot of
at home to lose that game at home.
Yeah, well, at least they didn't get hit by flares. At least they didn't get hit by flares from their own fans. But,
no, they didn't.
But yeah, and that's the thing, right? The world being against them and the world being on the side of Ukraine.
It happens.
Enough already.
It's a little much.
It's a lot much. It's a lot much. And you get the feeling that like Wales have Aaron Ramsey is better than any player.
He hasn't played.
No. What I'm saying is, actually, no, that's not true. He got a red card in.
Oh, he played for Rangers a little bit.
Yes, in the Europa League final. He is better than any player on the Ukrainian side.
Is he really better than Yarmolenko at this point?
I mean, my point is it's close. Okay. Gareth Bale is also on this Wales team.
All of those
okay. So let's be super clear about something. Wales should kick the ever-loving shit out of the Ukraine. They're not going to.
No, they're not.
They're not going to. Ukraine, I mean, look, they're we use this term all the time, but it actually is true for them. They're battle tested. And
the thing that's even crazier about that team is half of them haven't played because their season got canceled in the middle of the season.
Sure.
And they haven't been home. But what they are playing on is, we talk about mentality and we talk about these things that to give you focus. They have all the focus and everything to play for. Every goal is a moment of joy and sadness. You've got freaking Zinchenko crying at every news conference. It's a little bit much. I get it. You're sad. No. I'm kidding around. But they were good. They won easily against Scotland. Scotland were really bad. And the finish from Yarmolenko was...
Ooh, that was classy.
The run was good, but it was like the central defender was the central defender from Norwich. It's like this dude is seeing more goals go in than a fucking bathroom door in a whorehouse. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's awful. I mean, it's like, oh my God.
I like that one.
That's terrible. So bad. So Scotland, their problems came through. They couldn't score. They played tight. I think there is a mentality piece. These teams are close, right? Wales is going to also be like, Ukraine, no one really wants us. You can't even have that feeling. You have to be like, I don't care. We're going to the World Cup. We're fucking Wales. We're not even a country.
I don't think that Wales will have much of that problem. I think in the build up to it, you'll hear the Ukrainian sympathy cries, but in the changing room before the game, I don't think Wales is going to have any problem motivating themselves for that. One thing I think that played into Ukraine's hand a little bit was the scheduling. The best player on the field had just played in the Champions League final, Andy Robertson, 3-4 days earlier. So there's no saying. And by the way,
Tierney's been out for ages.
Yes, and Tierney was out. I want to circle back to Liverpool for a second. They played so many games this season.
64,
65. They got the shit kicked out of them just by, and this is not to give that German lab experiment any excuses to go proliferate bullshit around in press conferences. But the point is that caught up with them. And they did a good job of getting Luis Diaz in and getting some depth. But you need it everywhere. I mean, look, right? Like City is too deep everywhere on the field. Maybe aside
and City collapsed down the stretch.
Right, that's what I'm saying. City's too deep down the field everywhere except for probably Ederson at a Premier League championship contender level. I'm not going to say best in the world, right? But like Kyle Walker is not the best in the world, but he's a very, very good defender, and he's not your first choice.
Yeah.
Right. So
he is City's first choice defender.
Well, because you have Cancelo on the left then. Fine, whatever. But the larger point still is that they are depth all the way through. Liverpool did a good job of having that depth for their famous front three. Now they've got Jota, now they've got Diaz. So you've got a kind of a five-headed monster there, and you just pick however many of them you want. But Thiago can never stay healthy. Henderson was banged up. Van Dijk, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Robertson all missed games, pivotal games down the stretch. And so it just the runway was just too long for them. They are let me be clear, they are one of the most entertaining and best teams in Premier League history. And when I say one of, I'd say probably top 10, right? I was thinking about it. I think I said it on the show about a month ago, like, the Invincibles are not one of the top 10 teams in Premier League history at this point.
They're in the top 10, but they're not the top 5.
No. They might be 10 because they're
right. If you go one season at a time, it's like 6 United teams, or
sure.
Maybe three season windows.
There are 3 Liverpool teams that were better than the Invincibles.
And you're talking about point totals. Oh yeah. We're
right. And so, and you can do eye test and the narrative too, but I'll throw Liverpool a bone here. They had the deepest, toughest schedule aside from their Champions League run, which was a fucking playground, but they really, really had to go after it. They had to play the FA Cup final, 120 minutes and then penalties at Wembley, right? So it is worth mentioning that, yes, they ran out of gas. No, they did not. That's the reason nobody's ever done the quadruple. That right there. Because you have to play 65 games.
It's not possible.
Right, exactly. So
although it's getting close. It's getting like the last 2 seasons down the stretch in March. City and Liverpool were there to try and get it.
Yeah, because they played in the League Cup, didn't they?
Yeah. The key thing is you've got to win that League Cup. Without winning the League Cup, then you can't. Then you can't get the rest of the bullshit. But it's that down the stretch thing where you're trying to win the league. The FA Cup final comes. You get the extra game like on a Tuesday before the final weekend of the season. It's just like that's really hard. I mean, listen, I can be fair. I mean, like. Tottenham and Chelsea and Arsenal really had good seasons, right? They really did a good job. I mean, there's 5 teams in the Premier League with over 30 wins, with over 20 wins. Those are, when you have 20 wins, you're putting a bunch in the bank, right? Like that's really the sort of benchmark. When you get into the 20s, depending on how you draw or win, you can push. You can push. I mean, granted, 20 wins is not going to get you anywhere, but 25, you're there.
20 wins gets you in the
Champions League.
For whatever it's worth. I was going to say the European places, right? Like,
yes, 20 gets into the European places for sure.
Yeah, and that's a bigger deal to West Ham than it is to Arsenal, I suppose, or Tottenham, right? But no, that's a big deal. And again, financially, what you're doing is you're taking, in addition to all the money that the Premier League takes by itself, TV contracts, all this stuff.
It's twice.
You now
have
7 teams. But you now have 7 teams. I think 7, right? Because the Conference League who get to go and ply their trade around Europe and collect more and more and more. And it's more than likely, unless you're Tottenham.
It's not a lot. Those lower level leagues they're not worth that much. But what they are worth is if you have a contract with a sponsor, you get an extra few games. You get
Europe, but that's what I'm saying.
You can sell to another country.
It all adds up, and the point is that the gap just continues to widen to the point where West Ham is probably one of the 10 richest teams right now. Over the last 5 years. So
West Ham is probably bigger than Inter.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. And it's actually been fun to kind of watch Italy sort of be up for grabs now because the teardown of Juve and Inter kind of being up for grabs. And but yeah, so I mean, you have it like it always used to be in Italy, right? Where you've got the Milan clubs and Juve and the occasional Napoli or Fiorentina or something like that crashing the party. Lazio. Or Salernitana next year. But no, I mean, it's been kind of fun to see that revert back to 10, 15 years ago, but it's because of all the wrong reasons. It's because Juventus is falling on hard times. It's because Inter they won the title and then didn't even get to celebrate before Conte left and they sold Lukaku. So,
but Inter were there, right? Like Inter are after Liverpool are the best second place team in Europe. And they were ahead of Milan. They were ahead of Milan on expected goal difference. So they actually, in terms of level of play, they were up there ahead of PSG and Chelsea. So Inter were really, really good. They got too many draws and probably
they're the second best second place team in Europe, right? Is that what you're saying? Yes. No, I agree with that. And I don't even think it's particularly close, right? Because you've got I'm not even going to pretend to know who finished second in the French league, but
second place in the French league. I don't even know. I think it was either Rennes or was it Monaco or
I was going to say
Marseille.
Maybe?
Marseille. It was Marseille, but they finished 15 points behind.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we'll see. I actually don't know when the Wales and
Sunday.
Is it coming up?
Yeah, Sunday. This Sunday.
Well then.
Yeah, it's a good game. They really have a quick turnaround. And poor Ukraine probably doesn't,
Interesting.
doesn't have much to do. But yeah, so we're petering out. We're finishing up. Our season is over, and I think Mike, we're going to take a break.
Yeah,
the season does put a lot of strain on our families and our lives. It's a lot.
It does.
We'll probably come back sometime in August, like you said. You will
probably
be here for it.
Probably late July or very early August.
We'll do some transfers. We do have to keep everyone abreast of the fact that there is a World Cup beginning in November, which is fucking insane.
We'll be all over it. I think
no goddamn sense at all.
I think we'll spend some time refreshing and recharging batteries. All those.
I'm gonna go to Qatar dressed in an LGBT plus Q flag and see if I get thrown in prison.
We will name the show the Laurent Cortines Memorial Squeaky Bum Time Podcast after the World Cup because he will be shot. But I think we're gonna
Happy Pride Month.
We might do something. Listen, we partnered with World Soccer Shop for the Euros. That was super fun. Maybe we'll do something like a pool, something kind of like that. We got to figure it out. We don't know. We don't have any answers. We are taking 3 months off to figure all that out. We're taking a year off to find ourselves.
Yeah. So we're taking a gap month. What are the 3 things Spurs needs to do to challenge to push to be there at the end? You don't know what's going to happen. You just luck. Things can happen.
Right.
Let's say Sonny and Kane do a full season. Sonny keeps his shooting boots on. What else do you need to do?
Well, you need a center back, right? Like, I mean, you need, and they're working hard on either De Vrij or the guy from Sevilla. I can't remember, Jules Koundé. There's another guy from Inter, not surprisingly, that Conte wants. But you need a top class center back to put with Romero and probably Eric Dyer. So I think that's the first thing.
you need the Van Dijk Diaz guy.
I think that's Romero, by the way. I think we have him already. What we need is frankly, to
but
be
a defender.
level.
Romero's an on the ball guy. He's not a calm, cool.
But he leads in tackles and all that. He does. But I'm not. That is the numbers 1, 2, and 3 priority for me. Okay. The second is going to be, and I am hoping that there are fewer instances of this than what we've seen in the last 10 years. But you need a locksmith. You need a player who can help you break down teams, a creative midfielder. You might know him by the name as Christian Eriksen. He's going to be free from Brentford. You have to just go out and get Christian Eriksen. I wouldn't understand if you didn't.
I wouldn't get Eriksen. I would get somebody else, honestly.
That's fine. And I don't think Eriksen is the full-time answer either, because the way that Conte likes to play, he actually doesn't.
He didn't play when he played. He didn't play under.
It was for a while he was on the outs, and then he got back into his good graces. But so you need someone like that. I don't have a better example. The name I hear a lot, and it's not necessarily true from the attacking point of view, but it is from a set piece point of view, which is another weakness for Spurs, is James Ward-Prowse. So I would certainly welcome him with open arms. I think that, that's probably the 3 positions, because you've got attacking talent. I'm not worried about that. If you want to bring more in, if you want to bring in a Dybala, if you want to bring a Bale just so he gets used to play before the World Cup, knock yourself out. These are all luxury positions, right? But otherwise,
I got a secret name for you. Ready?
All right.
He plays for Rennes in France.
Okay.
His name is Benjamin Beauregard, and he is the only guy on the shot creating actions lists for the top 5 leagues that I've never heard of, and I don't know who he is.
Interesting.
So Berardi, Beauregard would be 2. Iker Muniain, these guys at Club Athletic, they never leave because they're just not allowed, because they only have 5. They have the ethnic they have the ethnic thing for Bilbao where you have to be Bilbaoan, and if you're not, so you just stay.
Yeah.
You're just like, well, you get a premium for just being who you are. So that's one guy that I would look at, shot creating actions. The number 1 guy was actually Dimitri Payet, which of course we know is
that's
not
hilarious.
Available.
No, I don't.
And then another option could be Luis Muriel from Atalanta, who's a little bit mercurial, a little bit weird. He's the right age. Well, he's old. That's not, but he's awesome.
I'm not sure, especially with Perisic joining the ranks. I don't know how much more attacking talent we really need to go out and spend on. Now, I'm also the guy who tweeted today that I would love to spend $50 million on Ivan Toney. But they
need a guy. They do need a different guy to go with that group up front.
So I think they do, but I think it's Kulusevski. I think you have that guy. So I'm not too concerned with the front line.
Maybe Berghaus, who doesn't want to go down.
I was thinking something like that, like a Chris Wood, like a Danny Ings, something like that. So, But here's the thing. If you're going to have a center back, if your spine essentially is what you're saying is a center back, basically number 8.
I would want to replace Højbjerg. I want a guy who pass the ball forward. I want Højbjerg out, and I want
I get that.
I want a version of Højbjerg who plays for Denmark. Will you just pass the ball forward, please?
Yeah. Well, I thought he did well with Bentancur in the second half of the year.
He's there. I forgot. You're right.
So I do like that one too. But again, how much better could you be if you level up Højbjerg, right? And I don't think Højbjerg is going anywhere. But I think just having the squad competition, the number I've heard
another guy, someone to push
6 or 7 new signings, which for Spurs is like
is Skip available?
And Skip's going to come back from injury next year. He signed a new contract last year. He's one of the most bright young talents in England. Awesome. So there's a lot there. You need a right back. Emerson Royal's not the answer. And Matt Doherty looked great towards the end of the season, but he's injured now, so you don't know what you're going to get from him. But I think that's the 3 things, right? Like making sure that you have the middle of the field taken care of, underlining center back. And look, like you said, to be there around the end of the season. I think Spurs are
They can be there.
Yeah. I think Spurs on their day are as good, if not better, than Liverpool and City.
Took a lot of points off them.
The most points of anybody. So I think that
that's all you can ask for, is that you play big games in April.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And so we're in Champions League now, but at absolute minimum, and this is not to say that we'll run the table and go to 3 finals next year, use Liverpool's season as a cautionary tale. And if you have the money, and if you're going to go sell some players to raise more money, go get some more players that are at the quality of Man City, of Liverpool, of Tottenham Hotspur right now to push everybody better. Yeah. And I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, and so I'd like to go through and kind of just like think about my opinion on some of the teams and what they need, just to like let's do it. Like top 10 real quick. My team has to replace leadership, which is difficult because it's always going to be quality. But if Gundogan goes, if Fernandinho goes, City are going to let Ake go because they're like, hey, you're good, we can't play you, you're not good enough. I don't like that move, but if he wants to go, he's got to go. So that means that there is probably reinforcements. I do think that City are going to look within. Jason McAtee and Cole Palmer will be part of the team, hopefully, as like squad depth. So I don't know that there'll be that much attacking need. It'll be the lunch pail guys, but lunch pail guys on City are fucking incredible, right? Like Rodri doesn't seem awesome, but if you're a City fan and you watch him, you're like, holy shit, he is incredible every day. It's like I used to like Højbjerg, and I'd be like, if Spurs had Rodri instead of Højbjerg, they'd be like 15% better because he takes everything on the turn and makes all the attacks just
go. We have a Rodri now.
You have your own. So that's where I see for City, like holding midfielders, left backs. Cucurella is really hot and heavy. That makes me so happy because I loved him. He'll look good in the sky blue again. He'll go from being a seagull to a citizen. Hopefully he's all action. I've been calling him Bernardo Silva as a fullback. That's the kind of quality that I think Cucurella is. Anyway, he was amazing. He was Brighton's player of the season, and I will continue to scout Brighton for players that I really like. Like, actually, that's the kind of player that your team could use. Leandro Trossard, perfect pick locker kind of guy. He's under the radar. He can be at the edge of the box. He can play striker. So, he can do what you need him to do. He's an extra guy who does stuff.
Yes, but real quick, Leandro Trossard is an old Tottenham signing, right?
Yes.
So what we need to do is...
He doesn't really make the team better, but he does something.
Right, but what we need to do is stay in the middle. We can't go get the name brands just because they're name brands. We can't go get the high upside guys and just pray to God that it'll all work out. There needs to be, and Kulusevski is perfect, and Bentancur and Romero are perfect. So it's a hard thing to do.
It is hard, but I do think a Trossard player is
I think that's a great signing. I don't
an extra guy, but like a push guy. Like
sure.
Hey, Mora, fuck off. We're gonna play Trossard because we're not running him behind. This team is sitting deep. We're gonna play Kane, Trossard, Kulusevski. Let Kane play the 10 and let them all fucking run around and do stuff. Now that's not Conte way. Like I feel like Trossard is the kind of guy City would get, and people be like, what? And then you're just like he becomes awesome all of a sudden. You're like, yeah, Trossard. We just did that. So anyway. City have those needs, those sort of lunch pail players. And then we go down to Liverpool. I think Liverpool have done their business. I think they probably need an extra guy in the front. They need to replace James Milner. I mean, that sounds ridiculous to say, but they do need to replace James Milner. But they have a bunch of young guys.
Cover. They need more cover in their side of the field. Yeah, I'm not even going to go into fullbacks, but I mean, I would say.
But they've done that with Tizimakis. He's already kind of a good.
No, I'm saying that's. I'm not saying they need anything on the wings. And Konate will come into his own. I think he's a good signing.
Although he almost blew it with that goal.
No, I know.
We're running late on time, and I just want to hit Arsenal. Arsenal need a striker, and they need. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say they need a replacement for Vieira, but they need a replacement for Vieira. Still,
and Lacazette just left today. Huh? I saw Lacazette's gone. He left on a free. If they don't shell out $50 million for Gabriel Jesus, I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
They should absolutely do it.
It's a perfect play for them. City,
but they may actually want Zinchenko too.
I don't understand. Why does City still want Gabriel Jesus?
Because Pep likes his work rate. He's a worker.
Fine.
He's a good version of Danny Welbeck.
Yeah, no. I understand all that, but like you just
Arsenal,
signed.
They're dumb. Don't go for Jesus. Go for fucking Watkins. Watkins is the better player. Watkins. Anyway, but that's just
I wouldn't like that at all.
Yeah. If I'm Jesus, I go to Brighton and I just go, you want to see somebody score some goals?
XG motherfuckers? How about actual G?
Yeah, I'm an actual G. So Arsenal, we need a striker, and they need the same things. Probably cover here and there. Just a veteran leader. They need a real like midfield general. I don't know where they float from. Do they need Højbjerg? He would never go. Do they need Ward-Prowse? Some kind of like steely, strong, good. What sucks is Fernandinho's too old. They actually need Fernandinho from 2 years ago.
Well, they need what they thought Xhaka was.
Right. Or what Xhaka thinks he is.
Exactly.
Right. A leader who's not a leader, who doesn't suck. And then we talked about your team and United. Just that team's a mess.
How much time? We don't have enough time for Manchester United.
Yeah. But there's guys. But maybe that's a guy for your team, Jesse Lingard. He's the type, an extra guy, a push guy. If he doesn't go to West Ham, he's an idiot.
Oh yeah, no, completely.
Yeah, they loved him. Moyes wants him. Anyway, we got 5 minutes to go. I'm done. See you in September, as the lunch lady says. No, in August.
Yeah, we will do it. We will be side by side. It'll be our first show in the same location, I think. I'm hyping this up for something. It's probably going to be terrible. But
terrible.
Yeah, no, that is a wrap on season 2 of the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast. As they say, let's get out of here.
Season. That was the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike Salerno and Laurent Fortines. We are the football wing of the Chop Sports Network and Fan Hub. We record on Tuesdays and Fridays, so you never miss a show, except from now on until August. So leave your comments, your reviews. We love you all. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the flip side when my hair is even grayer than it is now.